What is that something or some things that you need in order for you to start excelling in your career?
I remember one of my first jobs when I came across a very passionate consultant. She was in the field of chest medicine,
Right.
and she was trying to make her way through, and she wanted me to follow her through in that journey.
Oh, wow.
But I told her, no, that's not what I want to do. I picked up a particular patient that everybody was picking up and dropping because of her complex needs. But this was a patient that I picked up, and I walked with the patient and walked through till we got her where she needed to be. Now, that takes a bit of dedication.
Yes.
It takes a bit of perseverance.
Yes.
It takes a bit of commitment.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of discipline as well, because you know where you want to get to.
Yes.
But there'll be a lot of obstacles.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Career Chat Show with me, Yanmo. So on today's show, I have a very special guest. All my guests are special, but today is very, very special because I have a doctor, I have a consultant. So he's not just any doctor, he's also a consultant. And the conversations we're going to be having today, I believe you're going to find it extremely insightful. I want to introduce you to him. He's no other than my friend, my really, really good friend, Dr. Gbenga Saka. Welcome, Dr. Saka.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Are you excited?
It's a pleasure to be here.
You
Well,
sure?
it's always a pleasure to be with you. So.
Oh, did you hear that? It's always a pleasure to be with me. Right, okay. So, you're a doctor?
I think so.
So you're a medical doctor, because there are different types of doctors,
Yes.
right? So you're a medical doctor. Which field have you specialized in?
So the field I'm in is medical oncology, and this is basically cancer care, looking after people with cancer. There are different dynamics and aspects of oncology, but let's just say I look after people with cancer, and my main aim is to try and cure people of their cancer. But even if I can't, I want them to live as well as possible for as long as possible with whatever cancer that they may have.
Right, okay. So that's very interesting. And I'm going to ask you perhaps questions I haven't ever asked you before. So why cancer?
It's a good question. There are two answers to that. Cancer is a very common disease. We may not know it, but cancer is extremely common. 1 in every 2 people will have a cancer in their lifetime.
Say it again.
1 in every 2 people will have a cancer in their lifetime. So it means that when you walk down the road, every other person is likely to have a cancer in their lifetime. But be careful what you've heard. I didn't say will die of, but will have a cancer in their lifetime. So it's one thing to have cancer, it's another thing to die of the cancer. Now, I think the needs of these people are not being met. There are a lot of people that stray into the field of cancer and they stray out of it. So you need somebody that has the passion, the enthusiasm, the values, the vision, and the empathy that goes with this kind of profession. Because it's not something that you can just bounce in and bounce out of. You've got to have the feel for it. It's a humanity field. So it's not just something that I want to be an oncologist.
Yeah.
And it's, as you just said, just the word cancer puts people off.
That's very true.
And if you look at the fact that I'm a black person,
Are you?
and if you look at the fact that originally I'm from Africa, so the first thing everybody will say, why are you going into that field?
Yeah.
So, but people need to be looked after.
Very true.
People need to be cared for.
So having said that, and I'm going to make eye contact with you. And when you're answering these questions, because I know that if I make eye contact with you, the real juice of it is going to come out. You're not going to give me the... Right, he's positioning himself differently. And it's interesting you say that, but out of every single branch of medicine, why oncology? Why the branch or the arm of cancer? Are you that passionate about people?
Yes.
Oh.
And I know I've always said this. From the minute I could think, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So it wasn't that it was something that I stumbled into. So it was a lifelong passion. It was a lifelong desire. And it was a vision that had to come to pass. And even though along the way there might have been different challenges, but still stuck to the gun. And even when I meet people and I moan and they just remind me, this is what you have called yourself from time immemorial.
It's what you've always said.
So it's what I've
Yes.
always said.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new. But then also growing up, one of the things that validated it for me was my dad had a very good friend, and his son had sickle cell disease.
Right.
Half of the time he was in hospital because of sickle cell crisis. And one of my passion was, you know what, I need to make a difference in this guy's life. For him, I need to come into medicine.
Yeah.
I need to see if I can find a cure for sickle cell. And that was initially going to be the field I was going to pursue. And my real interest was just to focus on sickle cell.
Right.
Through medical school, all of my projects was on sickle cell disease. But coming into UK, when you have to do sickle cell, you have to do it with hematology, which is a different branch of medicine.
Which is what blood, isn't it?
Blood and blood diseases.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in their blood and blood disease.
Okay.
I was interested in a specific part. And because I wasn't going to get that, I looked at the next thing that I felt, looking at my values, looking at my core values, looking at the gift set that I have, looking at what my talents are, because I just felt that this was the next best place for me to be.
Right.
You look at the fact that you can listen, you can show empathy,
Yeah.
you can help people put meaning to the words that they say. So sometimes people just offload and they don't know exactly what they're saying.
That's
but
true.
you can take it from them, put it back together, and give it back to them so they know what they have said.
Interesting.
But it's also important that there's always hope.
Yeah.
Even where there's no hope, there's always
hope.
So it's almost like a tunnel. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
It may be another train coming, it could be another truck coming, but that truck will
there's
pass.
a light coming.
That train will pass.
Yeah.
And there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And what I see myself doing is trying to get people to that
Place of hope.
That place of hope.
Okay. So you've already alluded to the fact that you've come in from Nigeria, from the continent of Africa, but you knew you always wanted to be a medical doctor, right? Blood wasn't going to do it for you, so the next thing was oncology. Now, that's really good because we're going to segue into what I really want to extract from you. As a person of color, coming into a whole completely different culture, and this system is very different from the system medically where you have come from. Initially, how did you find it? Was it challenging for you? How did you find it initially?
For me, it was exciting.
Oh, okay.
I liked
Exciting is not a word I thought you were going to say.
No. For me, it was exciting.
Right.
People look at things and see challenges.
Right.
I look at it as another opportunity to climb over something.
So is that the way you're wired? Is that the way your mindset is structured?
I like challenges.
Okay.
I like to overcome things
Right.
because that's what gives me the buzz.
Okay.
I really like to do things that people don't normally do.
Right.
I like to go where people don't normally go. I like to just do something completely different.
Right.
I mean, for example,
You're a bit of an outlier.
maybe, well, I mean, for example, somebody will ask me, what are the things that I would like to do? One of the things I would like to do, but I have not been able to do because my wife is stopping me, is bungee jumping.
Oh, Lord.
So that's an outline thing.
Yes.
I want to paraglide. I want to
Yes.
parasail.
Yes.
I want to jump out of the plane. I want to do all of those things, which a lot of people don't do. But you also don't find a lot of people
Of color doing that, yes.
But so coming to the UK, it was a completely different ball game. Back in Nigeria, where I initially trained, you can navigate things and you know how to navigate
Yeah.
things. Coming here is completely different. So you're not part of everybody.
Yes.
You've got to have what it takes to come through, because what they're looking for is people that can rise to the top. So there are lots of you that are there, but you've got to have something that is different for them to want to pick you up and put you where you're going.
So you found it exciting, but what you've just said, I really want to expand on that in terms of they're looking for people to rise to the top. So what is that something that you think? Because this is all about, you were going to go into navigating the workplace, right? What is that something or some things that you need in order for you to start excelling in your career?
So I remember one of my first jobs when I became a very passionate came across a very passionate consultant. She had just finished her training and had become a consultant. She was in the field of chest medicine,
Right.
and she was trying to make her way through. And she wanted me to follow her through in that journey.
Oh, wow.
But I told her, no, that's not what I want to do. This is what, and she just couldn't understand why she's offering me a pathway that a lot of people want.
Mentorship, in fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people want what she's offering me.
Yes.
And I'm saying, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
But I think she looked at me one day and I picked up a particular patient that everybody was picking up and dropping because of her complex needs. But this was a patient that I picked up and I walked with the patient and walked through till we got her where she needed to be.
Wow.
Now, that takes a bit of dedication.
Yes.
It takes a bit of perseverance.
Yes.
It takes a bit of commitment.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of discipline as well, because you know where you want to get to.
Yes.
But there'll be lots of obstacles. So one of the things with this patient is she had something that was affecting her neck that nobody could do anything about. And it means that if she turns her neck slightly, it's easy for her to snap her spinal cord.
Oh, wow.
And then she will die from that.
Oh, wow.
The surgeons didn't feel there was anything they could do about it. There was no specific field of medicine that was going to do anything about it.
And was this in your early
That was
days?
in the early.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that I took that patient on, in addition to everything else I was doing, trying to find a way to find something that we can do to try and get this patient, because she had been in hospital for almost 6 months.
Wow.
And she wasn't going anywhere. But eventually we found a way, got lots of people involved, got a special multidisciplinary meeting set up for her, then got her things that made it safe for her to go home.
Right.
So when I went for my appraisal with her, we sat down, she said, I can see what you're saying. You do not want this business of picking somebody up one day and dropping them and then picking another. And there's some people that's the way they are wired, particularly surgeons. You come,
Like a
they open
conveyor
you
belt.
up, do what they need to do,
sew you
pat you
back,
up, and hand you over to somebody else,
Wow.
and they go. But I like to have a journey with people. And my relationship with my patients, more often than not at this point, is almost a lifetime relationship.
Wow.
Because I'm going to have to see them to the very end.
So what did at the time, you probably didn't know she was a mentor. Did you know she was a mentor of some sort at the time?
I wouldn't have used the word mentor
Right,
then.
right,
but
at the time.
Because in hindsight, yes, she was a mentor because
Yes.
she stood by me, because there were a lot of challenges
Yeah.
also. But I think there was something that struck her about me, because I think there was a day, I can't remember what happened. Something happened. She called me into her office. We sat down, and there's a bit of maturity in the whole thing, in terms of always waiting for her to finish
Listening.
before
You speak.
going to her.
Yeah.
And even when I had a slightly different view from what she was saying, never interrupted her. I would always let her finish, put that pause, and then pick it up. But we became friendly enough to even when she was trying to get a new house, she would always run things by me
Right.
and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, in a way, she was a mentor.
Yes, yeah. And going back to your point about everybody wants, or they want people to rise to the top, or they're looking for leaders, right? But is that something extra? So you going the extra mile with this particular patient, was that your something extra? Or would you say there were other things that you put in the mix?
Yeah. One of the things that we never fully realized, that people are always watching us.
Say that again, very slowly.
People are always watching us. You do not know who is watching you.
Wow.
And
Especially in the workplace, right?
in the workplace,
Yes.
everywhere, people watch you. People watch your mannerisms.
Yes.
People watch your interaction.
Yes.
People watch how easy is it to speak to you. How easy is it to have a conversation with you.
Whether
how
you have a
easy-
bad attitude or
Whether you
not.
have a bad
Yeah.
attitude. And one of the things, for example, I say to everybody is, morning, afternoon, or night, I will say good morning to you.
That's true.
So you look at your body, it's time to go home. And I say, are you on your way home? As long as you're not on your way home, it's still, but
Yeah.
it's a bit of an icebreaker,
Yes.
because people just know you for something. So
Yes.
even now, it's become so infectious that at my workplace, everybody sees me every time. It's just good morning. So there was a day I walked past a porter in the radiography department. She had become so used to me, and she hadn't seen me for a while. She said, "Oh, where have you been?" I said, "We had nothing." We're in completely different departments, but just the fact that every time I'll see somebody,
Yeah.
I'll always say that.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that people are watching about
Yeah.
you. So look, who is this person? More so, I'm going into a field where I will stand out.
You're different.
I will stand out. I'm different. I'm a person of color. It's almost a field dominated by white people,
Yes.
and nothing wrong with it. But it's just that they're the
You
ones
live
that
on an you live on an island. The United Kingdom is an island,
Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah, and it's Caucasian.
yeah. But you're also in a specialty where, when you're talking about compassion, when you're talking about things like charity, you are almost always going to find it with the Caucasians.
That's true.
And so then you are going into the field, you're standing out. So whatever you do gets magnified.
That's right. That's a very valid point. Yes.
You fail, it gets magnified. You succeed,
gets
they will they will notice it. And I think the most important thing must have been skill set in terms of dealing with people. And,
Was that something you learned or something you just had innately?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's something that I knew I had, but I built up over time as well.
So you built on it.
To make it a valuable asset for me as a person. And I think it does stand out because like I said, one of the things is, even when there's a challenge, so you have a difficult patient, nobody knows how to go and speak with the patient. Just go, fine, what's the problem? And somebody says the patient is very troublesome, the family is very troublesome, you can't speak to them, that's fine. Let's go at it a different way.
Yeah.
So these are kind of things that people look at and just say, you know what?
And you've been able to use that to position yourself differently. Yeah. So that's the extra that you're talking about.
Those are some of the extras that people are looking at, because somebody is looking for something that says, if I'm working with this person,
yes,
has he got my back?
Is he going to stab me in the back?
Is he going to stab me in the Is he going to stab me in the back?
Yeah.
Is this someone that I can rely on? Is this somebody that, you know what, I can feel vulnerable in front of, but will not feel threatened?
Say that again. You can feel vulnerable in front of, but you do not feel
threatened.
That's so powerful.
So,
right.
Because,
so you position yourself as an ally.
Always on their side.
Always on their side. Genuine side.
I've got my vision. Yeah. I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm always on the side where my vision is going to lead me.
That's right.
I may disagree with you. I won't turn the tables on you. I'll just have to find a way around you.
That's so good. So you work predominantly in the NHS, and NHS is one of the biggest...
Second biggest organization in the world, second to the Indian Railway, and possibly second to the Chinese Army. So
how did I know you would even know that? It's like, how do you even know these things? Anyway, but he's a doctor, right? So he's supposed to know this. He's supposed to be extremely intelligent. But then he is. That's why he's my friend. There's so many things that I have learned from him just in conversation. Okay, so it's the second or
third largest employer in the whole world.
In the whole world.
Yeah.
And that is where you work. And you don't work as, okay, you're a consultant at the moment, meaning that you've had to navigate office politics, people stabbing you in the back, you not stabbing people in the back.
Or maybe stabbing people in the back as well.
Exactly, right? But, when you look back on your career, and you're very successful at your career, you're successful. Because not many people of color are operating at that level in the NHS. Is that a fair point?
It's a fair point.
Right, okay. So for you to be a person of color, and I know your color doesn't define you at all, and I know that to be true, but when people are watching you, the first thing they see is your color before they even know what the content that is inside of you. How have you genuinely navigated your career to the point that you became a consultant? I know you have a goal, I know you have a vision, but there's no, it's true, and I'm going to be quiet in a minute, but there's the actual navigating of the everyday doing, right? It's all well and good, we can say, oh, I have a goal, I have a vision, I want to be this, right? But the everyday doing with so many different personalities and politics and everything, how have you done it? Really? Spill it all out.
I wouldn't say it's easy.
Right.
But there's a lot to be said for trying to know your environment, understand your environment,
right,
and know what makes your environment tick.
Know your environment, understand your environment, and know what makes your environment tick. That's a tweetable tweet right there.
And each environment will also change.
That's right. It has its own dynamics,
Has
right?
them, and you have to adapt and be flexible to all of those environments. There'll be places there will be places where you go and you have to be ultra aggressive. There'll be places where you go, you have to be passive.
Yes.
So you just have to learn all of those things. But like you said at the beginning, the most important thing, irrespective of what you had said earlier on, is that you need to have a vision. Okay. Because it's the vision that defines everything else.
Wow.
Okay. So if you know where you are going, it's almost like you've got a car with a sat nav and you've put destination into the sat nav. Irrespective of where you go, the sat nav will always point you back in that direction,
right.
even when you make details. And so it's about trying to, like I said, learn the environment, know the environment, understand the environment, but still focus on your goal and not deviate from it. Because the easiest thing is you can deviate from your goal easily.
Right. Okay. So know the environment, learn the environment, study the environment practically, right? Practically, how do you study the environment to the point where you know what to do? So give us a practical way of doing it.
Things have changed significantly over the last 50 or so years, particularly in the field of things like psychology.
Yeah.
And you get words like emotional intelligence
Right.
coming. And really, what is emotional intelligence? It's about knowing you and knowing the other person. But not just knowing the other person, but feeling the other person and knowing how the other person is likely to feel and how you want them to feel. So a lot of it is about having emotional intelligence. A lot of us have emotional intelligence, we just haven't built it up.
Right.
Sometimes a lot of us have actually murdered our emotional intelligence and stepped on it so that it doesn't come across.
The doctor is using the word murder.
Deliberately, because it's emotional intelligence means you come into a place.
Yeah.
You've seen the place already. If it's a place in chaos, you shouldn't be adding to the chaos.
That's right. Yeah, you do.
So you should come in and make a difference to that chaos.
But if you don't know, is that the emotional intelligence? You have to know.
You should know.
You should.
You should know. I'm not saying that you would know. You should, but that's where emotional intelligence comes in, because once you've learned it and you've built up on it, then it's easy. It's when you don't learn it that you get dropped and you seem like it.
But if you don't know what you don't know, how do you then know what you need to know?
Over time, you'll have learned a lot of things.
By osmosis, being in the environment.
You go to school for a reason.
That's true.
Okay. And the idea of school is that you interact with other people.
Yes.
You have bullies in school. You bully, you get bullied. You know how to navigate the world of bullies.
Yeah.
You go to school, they tell everybody to wear a uniform for a reason, to bring uniformity so that nobody feels superior, nobody feels inferior. But also in the same school, despite you all of you wearing uniform,
There's some people that wouldn't.
There are some people that wouldn't. And even though it's meant to be a uniform, you still find some people that their uniform will be from Primark and some their uniform will be from M&S.
That's right.
So you still learn how to go through all of that and how to accommodate everybody. You then go to university, which is a completely different ballgame, because in schools, you have lots of rules guiding you. In university, the rules have been taken away. It's up to you. If you come to lectures, if you don't come to lectures, if you see your lecturers, if you don't see your lecturers, then you also have different kind of lecturers.
That's true.
Some lecturers truly, really want you to learn. Some lecturers couldn't be bothered. They come, give their lecture. If you hear, and they're gone. So you learn to navigate all of those people. Then you go to your first work interview. You go to your first workplace, you meet people, you see that the world is completely different.
So true.
What you're expecting is completely different from where you are at. So those are part of things that where you start to learn. Now the world has changed so much these days that when you go in certain organizations, for your first week, they are doing induction. They're telling you how to navigate this, where to go if you have this.
They're even helping you.
They're even helping.
Yes, they're even helping you.
But in the past, that wasn't there. But that's what I'm saying, that the field, particular things like emotional intelligence, has come a long way. So those are some of the things that you learn. So the idea is that you learn all of those things and you build up on it and continue to add and continue to build up on it, add to it, refine it, make it better. And once you're doing all of that, it starts to show in you as well. And those are the people that people see in you.
So that makes a lot of sense. It really does make, and emotional intelligence is one of my favorite topics. However, is that what you used to navigate your career, or one of the things that you used?
I would say it's one of the things that I used. Now, at the time I was using it,
You didn't know it was
didn't know
emotional.
it,
Yes.
didn't know what it was. So, in fairness, some people have this as an innate ability.
Right.
That is something that is just born in them.
That's true.
And they just use it and develop it. Some people don't have it and they have to cultivate it
Yes.
and learn it. Some people have it, they just build up on it. But I think for me, it was just something that perhaps that I had and
You
I
had to
built
build
up on.
it. And were you aware that you were building up on it at the time, or you were just building up on something?
I think if I put it if I put it a different way,
Yeah.
I'm always trying to make myself a better person.
So personal development, right? Personal development. So it's interesting because initially you also said your core values. Do you also believe that your core values were part of what helped you because of who you are, what you wanted to do, and the vision that you had?
Played a big role. My core values from the very beginning in terms of what I wanted to do.
Yes.
Knowing my skill
Yes.
sets, knowing my gifts, knowing my skills, because there's also a
Yes.
difference between the two.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
can turn one around and
Yeah.
make it the other. But I think my core values were very innate, because then when I sit down and I look, because there are times when you just sit down and you just doodle with it. What is me? You know, you say, so what do I have?
Yeah.
You know, and then you start to think, so this kind of things that you have, which kind of profession does it go with?
Oh.
Okay. Does it go with this? Does it go with this other kind of profession? So when I really look back and I look at some of those things that I've written down,
Yeah.
I can see that is useful for where I want to be.
So what are some of your core values? And I ask the question because core values is something I don't believe many people know about, especially people of color in the workplace. And many people are not aware of how powerful, because you said it played a big role, of how powerful core values are. So what are some of your core values?
Compassion is one big one for me.
Compassion, okay. Well, no wonder you're a doctor.
Empathy is another one.
Right.
Being a good listener.
Listening, okay. As opposed to communication?
Not just listening. Good
Active
listener.
listening.
Active listening.
Yes.
Because there's a difference between listening
100%.
and listening actively.
100%.
Yeah. Then communication, because that's different from listening.
Yes.
That's different
Yeah.
from listening in itself. So I think those are some of the primary ones. Diligence.
But I would say all doctors have to be diligent, no?
No.
Okay.
Discipline.
What else?
Trying to think of some of these things I've written down over. I've written
But it's,
down.
okay, so but it's who you are. And the reason I ask that is because when you think back over your career and having to navigate the NHS, who is the second or the third biggest employer of labor, right? That's huge. Just to even think about that, that's so huge. But how honestly, it intrigues me. And I know we have conversations and all of that, but it really does intrigue me because how have you been able to, and I think I'm asking the same question, but because you haven't answered me, I'm asking it again. How have you been able to really navigate the culture, the workplace, the environment, the people, the dynamics, all these different things with such a huge employer?
Like I said, it always goes back to learning the environment. You've got to know what you want. You've also got to know what they want.
Okay. So it's a two-way.
It's a two-way thing. So sometimes what you want is not necessarily what they want.
That's right.
But you've got to make them want what you want.
How do you do that?
You show them that I am here. I'm going to make a big difference to you. You may not think you need me now, but if I walk away, you're going to have a very big hole.
So that's about how you position your value.
Yeah. So it's making yourself visible in a way.
Oh, the amount of times we've heard the word visible, that is. So, would you say people of color, especially in an environment like yours, would you say people of color are not as visible as they ought to be?
Visibility can be very different for different people.
Correct.
You can go and be visible in a dark place.
I'm gonna. How can you be visible in the dark?
You can be visible in a dark place.
Right.
So if you're going to be visible in a warehouse, okay, you can seek to be visible in a place where there is light.
Yeah.
You can seek to be visible in a where there's multiplicity of lights.
Right.
You can seek to be visible in a place where there's reproducibility, so that your visibility is seen not just by one person.
So there's like an ecosystem of your visibility.
But then also in terms of your visibility, you've got to be visible where they want you to be visible, not just where you want to be visible. There are two different things. And you've also got to make sure that your visibility is not obscuring somebody else's vision.
Right. So you're not, so you're not in, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, but the visibility is the copper. But part of the other thing is that sometimes we choose to be visible in a place that is not the right environment for us. So I've also picked a niche field where people are allowed to grow. Okay. People are allowed to evolve. People are allowed to develop, and people are allowed to be who they want to be and go as far as they can go. Yes, sometimes you need a helping hand.
Of course.
Sometimes you get a helping hand. Yes. Sometimes you don't.
But the enabling environment is already there.
Yeah. So the enabling environment is always there. And then you've also got to then make sure that when you're trying to be visible, you try to seek who you want to be visible to, because you want people that can help you and progress you.
You want people that can help you and progress you. That is a level of intentionality.
Yes.
So you're not visible in the dark. You're visible with the right people.
With the right people.
And I know this is why many people like to take pictures with like celebrities and stuff, because it's sort of like brand association, isn't it? And it's the same thing in the workplace.
Yeah, but you do brand association for the wrong reason.
No, I agree. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. But the reason I use that, because it's very relatable. I mean, we go to places, and we're all struck with our celebrities and all of that, and want to just take the person doesn't know you, right? But you now post it on social media, for example, it's like, oh, look at you, you're hanging around with the big boys, kind of thing. But to your point, and the reason I say that is to really drive home your point about, being visible with the right people that can help you progress your career. So that makes me believe and know that you were intentional about being visible, being around the right people that would help you. So in navigating the workplace, you need people to help you. Why didn't you just say that?
It's nice if I say it, then there's no conversation.
Listen, with me, there's always a conversation, and you know that to be true. No, okay, so how did you find these people?
Like I said, if you learn your environment, you will
going
see,
back to the learning thing, right?
You see these people,
right?
You see. Right. I mean, it's also about cultivating an attitude where people see you as well. Yeah. So, one of the things, for example, is in one of the workplaces where I was working, because of traffic coming back home, I always decide to stay back to allow traffic die down. Yeah. But because I'm staying back, people are seeing me going, this person is.
But they didn't know the reason why you were staying back.
So it was a two-way thing. So they always see me there, see you working hard. Somebody has come to chase me away from my workplace at 6 o'clock before. Go home. And so, but people notice all those things.
Yeah.
I remember a particular incident where I think I was working in a unit where somebody had come to meet me first thing in the morning on the day to get something signed off or something. I'm not sure how I spoke to the person or said something. The person went off in a hoof, went to cry, and straight away went to put a complaint.
Oh, wow.
Against me. And immediately they saw some people saw the complaint. They killed it straight away and just said, what is it? What happened? No, he can't say that. He won't say that. So these were already people behind me fighting my battle without
because
me,
of
they
how
know,
you have,
because
yes,
yeah. And so even the head of the unit was very cross with the person. I went to say,
how dare you?
Why didn't you come to me if there's a problem? I would solve the problem rather than go through all of this. So that's what I'm saying, that lots of people are watching you, but you don't know that they are watching you. So that when the time comes, they step in. But some of these things are things that you've also sown because
Yes.
you are there all of the time.
Yes.
They give you an assignment.
You get it done.
You get it done.
Yes.
I mean, there was a particular incident where we had a problem with a patient, which is a very, very unusual problem in the sense that we had put something in the person's vein which broke off.
Wow.
And was floating in her heart.
Oof.
And it's not something that you see every day.
Oof.
So went to the consultant. She just said, "Are you the person on call?" I said, "Yes." "That's fine. Whatever help you need from me, call me. I'm going home."
Wow.
Because they didn't know what to do.
Yes.
But they just felt that if anybody will find out what needs to be done,
you would.
It will be you.
So you had built trust and credibility.
And so it's yes, so eventually found a way of sorting it out. Means taking responsibility as well, because in terms of it, I had to assume almost the place of my boss,
of course,
and everything. So eventually when we sorted it out, or when we were at the cusp of sorting it out, there was then an issue because the person's relative went straight to the chief executive of the hospital. The chief executive spoke to the head of my department, who spoke to our general manager. General manager, they just said it was me. General manager just came to see me and said, "Fine, what's the problem?" I told him. "What are you doing?" I told him. I said, "Are you okay?" "Yes." I said, "That's fine." And just left.
So trust and credibility.
Trust and credibility.
So when you read the environment and, like you say, solve their problem, have your vision, and know that people are always watching you. That's interesting.
And you've also got to be prepared, because even when the general manager came to meet me, it wasn't like I was looking for notes. I was really just to let him know I was on top of my game. So everything that he was training right now, I was giving why it happened, where it happened, who we need to deal with, what I've done, who I need to go.
So
and
you
meet.
also know your onions.
Yeah.
But of course, you're a consultant. Of course, you know your onions. But what I'm saying is that at that level, you all know your onions.
Yes.
But it's the extra, the credibility, the trust, the empathy, the compassion, all of these things that come together that gives you that edge, that makes you succeed in navigating the workplace better than the next person.
And just buying yourself credit.
How do you buy credit?
So they just buy. So all of those things is buying. So
I like that. So you put things in your credit pot.
In my credit. So my consultant is able to go home, because this was someone who was in training, knowing there's a problem, but going home, not solving the problem, but also knowing that the problem is not going to wake them up in the middle of the night.
Because they got you there.
Because they got somebody there.
Wow.
So if I then need to go back to them for something else, it's easy because they know what you've done for them.
That's right.
At some point, I was put in charge of a group of people. I think after I left, I can't remember what I was speaking with one of the other consultants. I said, "I don't know why there are no people like you, because when you were there, you just..."
That's really good. How did that make you feel hearing that?
No, it's just nice to be validated.
That's true.
You know,
it is
it
nice
feels
to be
it feels actually it's empowering to feel validated, not just nice. It's not just.
It's
nice.
empowering to feel validated, not just nice. How does it empower you when you're validated?
Because once you're validated, you know you've put a nugget into that person. You can always call upon that nugget at any point in time. So you know you have a little hold on that person.
Wow.
So if there's a problem or you need a little help, you can always go to that person, because they've already shown you.
And validated
and
you.
they validated you.
Wow. This is very interesting. And it's interesting to me because, I can talk about career for a very long time. But the reason I'm particularly intrigued with your own experiences because the NHS is humongous.
You have to, and that is where emotional intelligence, compassion, and listening comes in. You go into an environment where there's always chaos. You're not going to sort the chaos.
That's true, yeah.
But you need to bring some meaning out of that chaos.
Yes.
And let the chaos continue. There are some times when you go into a place where it's chaotic and you look at everybody and you think, you know what, I can sort this chaos out. But you don't go in like an army general and say, fine, stop.
Yeah.
You go in and work with each person.
Yes, yes.
This is what you're doing. You're doing it very well.
Right.
I like what you're doing. But can we do it in a slightly different way?
Yeah.
It can be better. So you are turning that person in one direction. You go to the next person. What you are doing here it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
If you do it a different way, but then you're
Is
also
that a bit
turning
of
them.
is that a bit of manipulation? Would you say?
No, it's intentionality, because you're trying to get everybody to a particular goal.
Right.
So you're not and you go to the other person, they may rebuff you, and that's fine, because you also have to be ready for that as well.
That's right.
You're never going to get 100%.
That's right,
You're never
yeah.
going to get 100%. If they rebuff you, that's fine. Just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And sometimes the person that is rebuffing you, they could have their own reasons for rebuffing
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
So maybe you're not the best person to speak to that person, because
Fair
that person could
point.
be very important to you.
Fair
You may not be
point.
the best person to speak
Yeah.
to them. You get somebody else to go and speak to them. So they get pointed in the right direction.
So that's leadership.
Yeah. So by the time you go around all of those, you just find that everything is aligning. And when things are aligning, everybody feels happy.
That's very true.
And if everybody feels happy, you make progress.
That's very true. And you become more visible.
You become more visible.
Yes.
But important in all of those things as well, you don't take the credit. Just
Who takes the credit?
let everybody take the credit.
Okay.
If they push you out and say, "Oh, you've done it," that's fine.
Right.
But you don't say, "That's fine. I've done it." No, just fine. It's nice. We're all working together.
Right. Okay. So you're thinking of everybody as opposed to just thinking of I.
So you use
Right.
the word "we."
Yes.
All
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
There's some people that will come and say, "No, don't use we. It should be you."
Yeah.
And that's fine. But let them say it. Don't appropriate it to yourself.
But nonetheless, you have bought your visibility, you've bought your credit,
Credibility.
and you are now the go-to person.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether they say it is you or you say it is you,
Yeah.
you know what you have done.
And they may not say it to each other, but for everybody that you've gone to meet to try to point them in the right direction,
Yeah.
they know if there's a problem,
It's you.
you were the one that told them what to do.
That's
so they come
right.
to you.
Right.
It may then be that later on they go to dinner somewhere, they're talking, when I had this problem, I went to meet this.
That's right.
If
It's
you have
your
this
name
problem,
that comes up.
Yeah, if you have this problem, this is the person that helped me at that point.
Yeah.
So you don't
So
find
your
out-
name comes up in places that you're not even there. But it's interesting because, and it's you and I can have conversations for a very long time, even though you often say, "I'm a quiet person,"
which I am.
but
I don't talk a lot either.
I find that very fascinating. However, what I've heard you say, and I know we're running out of time, but what I have heard you say is knowing your vision.
Stop the clock. Carry on. I'll tell you when to put the clock back on.
So what I'm hearing you say is knowing your vision.
Having a vision.
You're having a vision, yeah.
Knowing your vision.
Right. Knowing your core values.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to read the environment, know what the environment requires of you and what the environment requires as well.
Yes.
Right. And also building up credibility.
It's very important.
Going over and beyond what you're supposed to just do.
And none of these things comes easy. It's not cheap.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Yes.
I won't say painful, but
Yes.
it requires a bit of sacrifice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just don't do all of these things and think, I'm just going to do it. Something has to give.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Time, money.
But you also need to calculate and calibrate what is given.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can get burnt out easily.
Burnout. Okay. Oh, we're running out of time. Okay. This is a question that I ask all my guests, and I'm going to ask you. If you had to speak to a younger Gbenga who knew what he wanted and knew that he wanted to be a doctor, and had just landed on the shores of the United Kingdom, though excited, but still didn't really know what was ahead, what would you say to him? What would you say to your younger self?
Yeah.
Knowing that,
I would say, choose your career,
right,
map a career path,
right,
and seek people that will help you get to the top of your game. So essentially, you're looking for a mentor.
yes,
But you've got to know yourself,
yes,
know the career you want to pursue,
yeah,
map, and in terms of knowing the career you want to pursue, so you're trying to see what are the different ways you go about
yes,
that
the
career.
different pathways,
What are the
yes,
different pathways to go about that
Yeah.
career? Map out what is relevant to you or what is applicable to you, because what may be applicable to somebody from Africa may be different to what's applicable from someone from the United Kingdom.
Correct.
May be different from something that's applicable from someone from the Asia.
Yeah.
So map your career.
yeah,
and then seek people that can help you. Seek for a mentor. I mean, one of the people that I'll call mentors, I didn't even know that they mentored me when I came. Whereas there was a lady that I bumped into. In fact, she was just someone that she was small,
Yeah.
but she made herself big.
Oh, she was small, but she made herself big.
So she was a tiny lady, but she made herself big. She was visible. So if she comes in somewhere, you will know she's there.
Yeah.
You will hear her voice.
Yes.
You feel her presence.
Yes.
You know, when she leaves, you know a force has left. But she was also very nice. So got to know her, and she helped the initial part of my career.
Right. Right.
The other person was an Indian gentleman who knew where I was coming from and knew the challenges that people like me faced.
Yes.
And just went out of his way. Because the places that he took me were places that I've not seen in my life.
You entered rooms.
I entered rooms that most of this was medicine, but it's coming from Nigeria. Then we're talking about going into a cardiac catheter lab, trying to see how to put wires into people's hearts and how to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Place I'd never been before.
Yeah.
And just said, just come with me, stay with me.
Yes.
And every so often I still see him.
Right.
And I say, do you remember? I say, no, I won't forget you. I remember you. So these are kind of people that mentored me at the very beginning. But there were also, the other thing I also say to people, sorry, I forget, is that don't always look at the people at the top. Look at the people that you are level with. But also look at the people that are beneath you. One of the most important jobs I got, I think, I'm sorry if I'm running over time. Was in one of the big specialist hospitals in London. And I was going to go for the interview. But where I was working before, one of the senior nurses and one of the matron knew I was going for the interview. But apparently, even before I got to the interview, I had gotten the job.
Oh.
Because the night before, she'd had dinner with one of the people that was going to be interviewing me.
Wow.
So behind me, so people can shape you without you knowing.
That's powerful.
So she had just said to the person that somebody from my unit is applying for your job. It's very good. We don't want him to leave, but he needs to.
That's right.
When somebody like that is going to interview you with what they know, it's not that they are going to say that you have the job.
Yeah.
You have to be.
You still have to sell yourself.
You still have to sell yourself.
Yes, but it's an easier sell.
So you have to make yourself fail in that situation.
Yeah.
Because the person already has this high expectation of
Correct.
you, and it's going to try to say, what can I do to get this person?
Wow.
And everything. So you look at it, it was a nurse that helped me get a job, not a doctor. And so one of the things I say
that is really good. Yeah. Yes.
So one of the things I say to my younger colleagues when they come and they start is that the nurses make you, shape you, and they can destroy you as well.
So be careful.
You need to be very careful.
Wow.
I give the example that you're on call at night. There are jobs that needs to be done. It's easy for the nurse to call you at 1 a.m. You go away. She calls you back at 1:10. You come and you go away. She calls you back at 1:15. You come and you go away. It's also easy for that nurse to put all of those things together and call you at 2 and say, these are the things that you need to do.
That's true.
But it all depends on what you've done with them.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I say good morning to everybody.
Yeah.
When I go, as everybody had a cup of tea, can I make tea for everybody? Knowing that they're not going to let me do it.
Of course.
But I've offered to.
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
And there are times when for example, one of the things that even people at me laugh at is my mug that I used to drink tea.
Does it have your name on it?
No.
Okay.
I wash myself.
Okay.
So even when people come to take, say, no, I'm washing this myself.
So what you're saying is that respect your colleagues and respect
value
people.
What they do. So there are times when I'm sometimes because I'm late at work, the cleaner is cleaning. They've cleaned where they've cleaned, and I need to walk past.
That's awkward.
You can ignore them and just walk past.
Yeah.
You can tiptoe they know you are tiptoeing, but they know that you are appreciating what they are doing,
get
what
you.
you're doing.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, doctor, don't worry." I say, "No, no, no, no."
So it's going back to that reading that
Reading
environment.
them, but also
Wow.
just buying credit with those people as well. Because
You just never
yes,
know.
I'm stepping on the floor that she's just cleaned,
Yeah.
but I'm making her know that I know you've cleaned this floor.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best not to make the floor horrible.
I get
So
you.
please pardon me if I make it
wow.
horrible. So people down there, people at your level, and people at the top, you've got to cultivate a relationship with everyone. The relationship with each person is going to be different.
Of course, yes.
But you've got to cultivate
Of course,
that relationship
yes.
with everybody. And you've also got to make everybody feel that what they are doing
It's valuable.
is valuable.
Yeah.
But you're also happy to do it, that you're not afraid to do it.
As well.
So going to wash cups, for example, it's not for me to do.
Yeah.
But when you do it, people see that, okay, that's fine.
Whew. Right. I'd like to say a huge thank you to you. We're out of time. We're going to have you back. But on that note,